Hey everyone, welcome to Gina Marie Yoga. This video is all about the next steps. So you just found out that you have anxiety issues, and where do you go from here? So I'm just going to kind of walk you through what I did. This may not work for everybody, and again, mine is a little messy because I didn't know what to do or have any guidance really. So I'm just kind of take you through how I ended up where I am and just what worked and what didn't. So initially, I didn't really do much. Once I knew what was going on, I didn't know what to do. So it started with just hoping that it would go away. I honestly thought that that would happen. Like I would just wake up and I wouldn't have this anymore. But that's not the case. So I started, seeing little things here and there on the internet when I would research, going outside in nature, physical exercise is always good, for your mental health. Well, I was already exercising. That wasn't anything new to me. But, going outside in nature, I'm not a big woodsy type person, even though I live in the woods. So I started there. And this led me to one morning, my husband was going to go take a hike to clear some trails about 30 minutes from our house, and he asked me to go. So I decided to think about it. It took me a solid 48 hours to really want to go. And even then I didn't want to go, but I made myself go. So yeah, the morning of was a complete cluster. I mean, I was halfway dressed, and then I would be like, okay, I can't go. And then I would be like, okay, I have to go. I mean, I was all over the place. So I finally ended up going, and I made it through fine. We hiked through the woods. It wasn't very long. It was during winter, so I didn't have to worry about snakes and spiders, which is terrifying for me. So that was good. And I made it through. And then at the very end, my husband says that he wanted to make a stop somewhere I've been before. I know the people. And I immediately went into panic. I wanted to go home. I was done with my hike. I wanted to go straight home, because home is my safe place. Well, we were literally just making this little stop, and I went, and the whole time from getting out of the car to walking in there, I was just telling myself to calm down, please don't throw up, because that's what I felt like. And also, are these people going to know that I'm absolutely freaking out right now? Because when I do get like that, I get really quiet. I'm very distant. I'm totally distracted by what's going on in my head. So I made it through all that, and what I'm getting at from all of this is one hike in the woods isn't going to cure your anxiety. It certainly did not cure mine, but I do think that being in nature is extremely helpful. It's very calming, but maybe take baby steps. From that point on, I knew that I needed to do something else. So the next step was doctors. If you have a good family practitioner or someone who you really trust, I highly recommend seeing a doctor. I don't know, I'm not a big fan of who I was seeing at the time for a family practitioner, and the experience wasn't great for me. So, but that's not to say that yours would be a fantastic experience. So I made the decision to see a doctor, and in my head, I was like, I think it's time to get on medication. It's what I got to do. And this is going to cure everything. It's going to be great. I go to the doctor's office, and I'm with my husband. He met me there after work, and of course I have a panic attack inside the doctor's office. It started in the waiting room and then continued on and increased and got worse as I was in the actual room waiting for the doctor. So luckily my husband was there, and having someone with you who you feel comfortable with can be grounding. to be able to focus on them. And he kept looking at me, telling me to breathe, because I always hold my breath. I don't know why, but when I'm in sheer panic, I hold my breath, I don't breathe. And breathing is like one of the most important things that you should be doing. The nurse was able to get me some water. I calmed down, doctor comes in, and we really don't go over any history or maybe let's look at this first type thing. It was basically, you know, asking me, do I feel like I'm going to harm myself or others or anything like that? Answer was no. And so here's a prescription for anxiety medication. And that was that. Took it that night and had every side effect that you can have with this medication. It was god awful. Awful. Yeah, it is a place that I never want to go again. That's all I can say. Never. I know that anxiety medication works wonders for so many people and is needed, and I know that, and I support that 100%. But I don't think that every time someone has anxiety that you just take a pill. I just don't think that. I think that there are other ways around it. Again, if it's absolutely necessary and it's truly going to help somebody who might be a harm to themselves or others, you know, absolutely take it. That's, you know, we do need it for those types of things, but there are so many other underlying things that is probably causing the anxiety that isn't going to go away unless you fix those first. And just taking a pill is putting a Band-Aid on all that. So if you are taking medication for it, there's no reason at all to feel guilty about that. Honestly, if I didn't have the reaction that I did, I may still be on it. I'm not sure. But, you know, I had a bad experience. So just briefly, the medication, what it did to me was it started with insomnia. I couldn't sleep. Then the nausea set in. And then, you know, every time I closed my eyes, it felt like my brain was short circuiting. Like it was crazy. So I couldn't even close my eyes. It was, you know, it freaked me out. And it made me want to crawl out of my own skin, is the best way I can describe it. So that, and not only that, but my anxiety got worse. So bad. And then that turned into depression. So I did not continue taking that medication. Completely ixnayed that, not for me. And it took me about a week to recover from what I did take. And God, like I said, it was such a scary moment. I remember laying on my couch thinking, like, this is it. I'm never going to get better. I've hit rock bottom. And, you know, the next step is hospitalization. Again, very dramatic, but if anybody has felt that way and knows what I'm talking about, you can relate completely to what I'm saying, because it is not a good feeling. And I don't want anyone to feel like that. So, you know, and I might be a unique situation with that experience that I had. So anyway, that led me to the next step. And that was, let's start finding a more natural approach to calming everything so that I can actually leave my house, for one, because I couldn't. I wasn't able to leave my house. So I did research and I found ashwagandha, GABA, which was another supplement. And those I started taking right away. And from there, I started eliminating caffeine out of my diet. And even some foods, like the gluten, you know, different things that possibly could contribute to anxiety. I started from there, and that's kind of when everything, like my journey to recovery, really started. Is, I probably taking that medication was a godsend. It led me to where I'm at today. I know that wasn't for me, and it led me to a more natural approach, and I'm so grateful that I took that route. My conscious effort to watch what I'm eating and how it's affecting me, eliminating the caffeine, that was big. I will say caffeine is a big one. And if you have anxiety, maybe you don't think that the caffeine is doing anything as far as triggering you or making things worse, but try eliminating that for a little while and just see what difference it makes, because it was pretty night and day for me. And I still to this day don't drink caffeine. Every now and then I will have some, but I try to stay away from it like it's the plague, because I just know what it does to me. The next step was therapy. And this was a big step, and one that I dragged my feet on for a while, because at the time you're like, do I need it? I don't know if it really is going to help. I'm kind of embarrassed. There were all those things going through my head. But I was hell-bent on fixing whatever it was that was causing all of these problems. So booked my first therapy appointment. And I will tell you that to this day, I'm still in therapy. And it took me a while to find a good therapist, but I will say that even if your anxiety isn't bad, or maybe you don't even have anxiety, I honestly think everybody could use a little therapy now and then. I really do. It has helped me so much, and dear God, is it great just to talk to somebody who isn't part of your inner circle, and you feel like you can just talk to them without any judgment. Oh, it's just, I don't know. I truly enjoy it. So leading up to now, it took a little while to find a good therapist. So my advice to you is don't give up if you aren't successful on the first try. I was not successful on the first try. In fact, it took me 3 tries to find somebody who I clicked with. And I mean, the first woman I saw, I didn't get a good vibe from the moment I stepped in the place. I think it was maybe in a hospital, like a wing off the hospital or something. I can't remember. But it was very dingy, outdated, and I don't know, it felt very cold. And the woman I only went to her about 2 or 3 times. She literally looked at her phone and did one of these, and then like text on her phone. And I was like, what? Did she just really do that? So I felt like I was basically wasting her time. So we cut that off right away. And then I found somebody else, and she was much better. And actually, she is who introduced me to CBD. She was a wealth of information and extremely, extremely kind. The only thing was she was an hour from my house. So it just wasn't ideal, and I wasn't going as often as I should because of the distance. So I went probably, I don't know, a good 6 to 9 months without any therapy. And I think I was okay. But then, things did start to go downhill, and I was having a lot of issues that I just wasn't able to deal with on my own. So I actually found a therapist right in the area that I live currently. And that's who I'm with still. It's been probably 2 years, and she's wonderful. And it's kind of like when you find your person and, you feel like you can just tell them anything. And so I am very happy to have found her. And, therapy usually is once a month. Currently, I'm going once a week, and just for a short period of time just to kind of work through some things that I have went through recently. And, you know, and then we'll probably go back to like once a month. So I can't stress it enough. If you have the means to find a good therapist and to go to one, I would highly recommend it. I would. And again, be patient. It might take some time. Therapy was one of the biggest tools that I currently have in my anxiety toolbox, as I like to call it. The other big thing for me was going to a naturopathic doctor. Not everyone feels the same about them, but it was another one of those, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens, because I'm still not in a place where I want to be, and we'll see how it goes. So I found a naturopathic doctor, and similar to therapy, you might need to go to a couple to find one that you really feel like you connect with. And lucky for me, I found one on the first try. She was actually recommended to me. It was an experience completely opposite from when I went to my family practitioner like a year prior. So I sat with her for an hour and we went over everything you can think of from my health history. And I ended up getting blood work done. She wanted a full panel of blood work to see if anything is off. And then the next thing was hormones. So I had my hormones tested probably a year or two prior to going to this naturopathic doctor. They told me everything was fine. They didn't see anything alarming. So I did a hormone test with her, and when I came back for the results, she just put the paper in front of me, had a big red circle around estrogen. And I, no joke, had basically none. That and one other thing, I can't remember what it was. My cortisol was a little off. But, you know, I was working with some pretty jacked up hormones. And hormones are a huge factor when it comes to your mental health. So we came up with a plan, and I have all these several different supplements that I still take now. And within, I don't know, it was within probably 3 to 6 months, there was a huge difference. My levels went up. I was managing stress just a little bit better. And, as a female, your cycle, that changes that as well. And that got better. So, I mean, it was just kind of this hallelujah moment. I finally found the missing piece to this puzzle, and it was her. I've finally got it. And between her and between therapy and the taking care of myself, the anxiety was slowly starting to fade away. It was there, but it wasn't controlling my life like it was. So all of these steps took a while to get to. And I am someone who I want to fix it right now. I'm not patient when it comes to that. I want my life back. I want things to be the way they were, but it took time. It took hard work. Not everything is going to work in your favor all the time. It's, you're going to kind of have to see what works for you, and some things are going to not work. And you're like, okay, so that didn't work. Cross that off my list. Let's try something else. If there's anything that I would definitely recommend, is the therapy, for sure. Naturopathic medicine is not for everybody. I am a complete believer because of my experience. So maybe you want to give it a try. Unfortunately, I know that it's not covered. Most places aren't anyway, covered by health insurance. So it can get a little pricey, which sucks. But if you are able to try, please do. I mean, there's just so many things that my family doctor did not do that the naturopathic did. And not only that, but the naturopathic doctor was just a breath of fresh air. Like, she oftentimes acts as another therapist to me. She just listens, and sometimes that's all you need. So it's great. So yeah, so those are the things that have led me to where I am now. Those are small pieces, but they help immensely, and have helped me immensely. And if any of those work for you, that is great. It takes time, and that's all I can stress, is it's going to take time. So the other thing I want to mention, that in all of that, in the beginning I had talked about physical exercise and walking through nature. So all of the steps that I mentioned that I took, in between all of that, I was doing yoga. I was doing, any type of exercise, because I love exercising. It's just, I've always done it. So I was continuing with that, and also trying to get outside as much as possible. For me, just laying in the sun is more therapeutic than walking through the woods. That's just how I like to be in nature. Just give me some sunshine and, all the vitamin D you can, and I feel amazing afterwards. So, everybody's got their thing. So it's important, through all of those things that you are trying in order to improve your health, to also remember to move. Move 30 minutes, whether it's just a walk on a treadmill, walk outside, bicycle, whatever it is, yoga. I know I'm a yoga teacher and I have it on this channel, but not everybody wants to do yoga, and that's totally fine. So these are all little things that you can put inside your toolbox, and you can go to at any time, that are going to keep you on the right track. So if you have any questions about anything I mentioned in this video, leave a comment below, and I will be more than happy to answer any of those questions. So thank you so much for watching. Stay positive, stay healthy, and I look forward to seeing you again. Namaste.